grading system, JumpRope, calculates a student's final grade. Let's say we have two learning targets, learning target A and learning target B. We want to figure out how the scores from these learning targets and their assessments get us to a final grade. To do that, we need to know how many assessments are tied to each of these learning targets. For learning target A, let's say there are 3 assessments, scored as you see here. For learning target B, there's only 1. Now we're almost set up for the equation. We just need to figure out the numbers that we're adding and dividing by in order to get the final grade. JumpRope uses a regular average to calculate a score for each learning target based on the assessment scores in that learning target. So for example, learning target A has 80 plus 90 plus 60 divided by 3. That gets us 76%. And learning target B has only one assessment at 80%, divided by 1 is 80%. Now, we might think that JumpRope is just going to add together 76 plus 80 and divide it by 2 to get the final grade. That would give us a final grade score of 78%. But JumpRope assumes that you care more about learning target A than learning target B because you've given more assessments related to learning target A. So in the background of JumpRope, it automatically weights learning target A times 3 because there are 3 assessments, whereas learning target B is not being weighted at all, or being weighted at just 1. Now we're pretty much set up to do the calculation. We need to multiply these two numbers, add them together. We get 308, and then we're going to divide by 4 instead of 2. That's because we're dividing by the number of assessments as opposed to the learning targets, and this is how we get the weight of those assessments. This gives us a final grade of 77%. You'll notice this compared to a regular average would have been a 78% is 1 percentage lower. And that's because learning target A, which has a lower overall score of 76%, was given more weight than learning target B, which has a higher overall score of 80%. The key takeaway here is that JumpRope automatically gives more weight to the learning targets that have more assessments. That happens whether or not you manually weight any assessment or any learning target yourself. This is important for us to know moving forward. Let's pretend learning target A and learning target B are actual learning targets. Let's say learning target A is about identification, so low-level skills, and learning target B is about analysis, or high-level skill. In this situation, we instructionally care more about the analysis learning target. However, the way it's set up, identification and the skills that are more lower level are more heavily weighted in the gradebook than those that we care about, which are analysis, which in this case is a 3-to-1 ratio. To correct for this, we can manually weight assessments. So in this case, you might go into JumpRope and weight the analysis assessment, which a student received 80% on, by 3. When we do that, we change the equation. Now it's 76 times 3 plus 80 times 3. We still divide by the number of assessments, which in this case is no longer 4, because now we're acting as if the analysis assessment, which is 80%, are 3 different assessments. So that would mean we're dividing by a total of 6. That gets us to a final grade of 78%, which you'll notice is 1% higher than before we weighted the assessment for analysis. Some key takeaways. We can intentionally emphasize different learning targets by weighting assessments. We should pay attention to the learning targets we care about in order to use weighting effectively. And we do not weight assessments more than 5 times. JumpRope has advised that we set this limit due to our past experience with weighting assessments more than 5 that have a profound and often unintended effect on a student's grade. The last aspect of grading we'll talk about is the weighting of not assessments, but of learning targets. This is something we've done in the past. So in this case, for analysis, we may have weighted the assessment by 3, and/or we may have also weighted the learning target by 5. When we do this, it has an exponential effect on the weight and the scores when averaged to calculate the final grade. A key takeaway that we've learned from our past experience is that weighting learning targets can have profound and unintended effects on a grade. Therefore, to limit this variability, we will not be weighting learning targets moving forward. Keeping the key takeaways we've learned today in mind, your task is to work with your department to discuss your experience with weighting and to norm and calibrate on the way you'll use weights using the shared spreadsheet in the agenda. You have about 20 minutes to have this discussion, although it may merit more time. Reach out if you have any questions.